Hello, welcome back to my channel, Hasty Books. Today I thought that it would be a great time to do my mid-year freak out tag. And I'm not quite freaking out, but I'm not quite not freaking out. So the month of June has just ended, which I think is a good time to, discuss the first half of 2023. I won't go over my goals of the year, mostly because I don't want to feel guilty, I want to take it chill. But let's go over some small stats, courtesy of the story graph. So in the first half of the year, I have read 50 books, 51 technically as of now, because I finished one yesterday in July. I was trying to be a bit more chill with myself, but I followed the Women's Prize, and I don't know, clearly I went a bit overboard. I was looking at more reading like 5 books a month, and I'm already at 50 in 6 months. So clearly I've gone a bit overboard because I'm almost at my goal for the year. But anyway, pleased with that generally. So in terms of moods, and I'll put them here. So in terms of moods, it's quite dark, as you'll see. We have reflective, emotional, dark, and mysterious that make up more than half. Then we have a little bit of funny and lighthearted and hopeful, which is good that it's sprinkled in there because I don't like too much misery. But generally, I think this represents well like the kind of books I've been reading, and because I read for the Women's Prize, I feel like I read some darker books, and now finally getting to like things that I enjoy a bit more, things that are a bit more hopeful, because while I enjoy a book that's hard-hitting, I really enjoy a book that has a hopeful ending or something just beautiful to leave us with. Just over 50% of the books were below 300 pages, which makes sense. I read a lot of shorter-ish books, sometimes just to read something quickly like this, and it makes sense having read 50 that they weren't all huge, but I did read 3 that were over 500 pages. The split of fiction and non-fiction was 84-16, which isn't quite where I like it to sit, but in the first half of the year I think that's normal, and I've been focusing a lot more on fiction. And obviously a lot of my books now don't include books I'm reading for my PhD, because mostly I'm not reading like entirely through them and stuff like that, but I'm reading a lot of non-fiction in kind of that time. So sometimes in my private time I don't really like to read as much, but I know I'll be picking a bit more non-fiction going forward. My top genres, as you'll be able to see, are literary, obviously because I followed the prize, historical fiction, contemporary fiction, LGBTQIA+, then we have a bit of fantasy, romance, memoir, science fiction, classics, poetry, and thriller. As you can see, I read very like a wide variety of books, and that's kind of how I enjoy it. And that's why I don't really fall under a category. But yeah, I really do enjoy that. And I think literary, historical, and contemporary being the top one make the most sense because that's where I gravitate the most. Format, audio is the bigger one by just a little bit. So print and audio are almost equal. And I think that makes most sense. I don't really like to read as much on my tablet, although we're going on holiday this week and I'm not bringing any books with me, although we're going to my parents' house, which is basically a library. So there'll be plenty for me to pick up there, but I'll hopefully be finishing a couple books, ebooks, so on my tablet, on my phone. But yeah, I've been listening to a lot of audio, but I get a lot of them read this way because, on the train, when I'm running sometimes, when I'm cooking, or, just doing some tasks like that, I think it's easy to like listen, especially when you're not actively like engaged in something mental. When it's more physical and your mind can just kind of absorb. It's really nice. My spread of book across the year or across the first 6 months are a bit up and down. I think February I read, 5 books? I think that's kind of where I would like it to sit, and I clearly went overboard all the other months. But I've been doing all right, I think, in terms of balance. And finally, my ratings. This year I've been trying to put a rating on all the books that I read to see a little bit like how the spread is. And I'm very surprised that my most used one is 4-star. So clearly I've been trying to be a bit more generous. But my average rating is 3.69, which I think is really good because for me an average book usually gets a 3 because 3 is the middle. So average, middle, And I've given, a couple of 5 stars, but we'll get into that with the questions and prompts of the mid-year freak out tag. So let's dive into the quick questions. So the first one is the best book you read so far this year. And there were 3 books that I gave 5 stars to in the first half of the year. The first one was Misfits, A Personal Manifesto by Michaela. I just really enjoyed it. It was really hard-hitting and just really good and inspiring. There was Wandering Souls by Cecile, which was for the Women's Prize for Fiction long list. I really enjoyed it, really beautiful. And finally was Babel by RF Kuang. I just really enjoyed everything I was trying to say, and even though sometimes it was a bit convoluted, generally like the research behind it, and also the arc of the characters and the ending was just gut-wrenching. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. Number 2 is the best sequel you've read so far. And I think I've only read one sequel, which was A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. And I read the sequel because I read both books back to back of the Monk and Robot series in January, and I was just loving it. So yeah, I think that's the best one I read, I guess. Number 3 is a new release that you haven't read yet this year. And this is definitely, for me right now, is Small Worlds by Caleb Azum Nelson. It's on my tablet. I will be getting to it hopefully soon, maybe in August, but I want to read it this year. And number 4 is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And I don't know that I have one that is most anticipated, but I do look forward to The Wake Up Call by Beth O'Leary. I really enjoy Beth O'Leary's writing. I've read all of her books, I believe, up to now. And so I just look forward to seeing the next one. Number 5 was Your Biggest Disappointment. And I think for me, because I expected to like it, was The Dust Never Settles by Karina Licorice Quinn. I don't think it was a bad book. I think it was really excellent, and it dove into kind of a literary heritage and a magical realism kind of narrative of South America. It's based in Peru, and it had a lot to it and is very evocative, but at times convoluted and confusing, and I just didn't connect with it as much as I was hoping that I would. In number 6, we have the biggest surprise of the year so far. And I guess I have 2. The first one was The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. I didn't actually expect to like that one. I don't know, maybe it's been overhyped, and also the setting of it. It's just, there's something I didn't connect with it when I was reading about it. But then I started reading it, and I thought it was actually really easy to read, and I really enjoyed the plot twist at the end. The second one I did want to mention was Here by Wisława Szymborska. Because this is a collection of poetry that I read at the beginning of the year for my Reading the Women Who've Won the Nobel Prize for Literature. And this one really was a good surprise because I thought it was just so accessible and it was just so beautiful, and I just really, really enjoyed it. In number 7, it is who is your favorite new author, like new to you or debut or whatever. And I don't know that I have a favorite new author, but there's 3 authors that I will definitely be kind of on the lookout for more of their books. So obviously Cecile, who wrote Wandering Souls, and Louise Kennedy, who wrote Trespasses. I read both books for the Women's Prize for Fiction long list, and I really enjoyed it, and I kind of look forward to seeing what comes next. And also I really liked Emily Austen's writing. She wrote Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead, and I really enjoyed that. So 3 authors I will be on the lookout for. In number 9, we have Newest Fictional Crush. And I don't know that I have one. I don't know that I've been reading a lot of books that have characters that I had a crush on. But if I had to pick one, maybe the main character in Roughest Draft, I guess, because it's like a romance. But yeah. In number 9, we have a favorite new character. And I think I have to pick the T-Monk and the Robot from the Monk and Robot series by Becky Chambers. They were just such great characters, and I just really went along with them, which is why after reading the first one, I went straight for the second book in the series, because it was just something really hopeful about it that I really enjoyed. And I guess that kind of ties in with number 11, which is a book that made you happy, because the whole Monk and Robot series just makes me really kind of hopeful, and it's just really beautiful narrative. So yeah, definitely that book for that. And then if we go back to number 10, it's a book that made you cry, or the saddest book you've read. And I think for me, Babel and Wandering Souls really hit the feels. In number 12, we have a favorite book to screen adaptation that you've watched this year. And I recently watched One True Loves, which was adapted by, from the book by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I haven't read the book, but I kind of enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a kind of a beautiful romance. Well, I might have had some issues, obviously, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I guess another one is that I did watch this year the Daisy Jones and the Six adaptation of Taylor Jenkins Reid as well. I didn't actually love the book, and I didn't love the series, so I guess that means it was alright. It also reminds me that I need to watch the Power TV series adaptation, and also I really look forward to Lessons in Chemistry. I think this is coming out with Brie Larson. In number 13, we have the favorite video you've made this year so far. And I haven't made as many videos as before because I've been a lot busier this year and I've just been juggling a lot. But I really enjoyed making my predictions video for the Women's Prize for Fiction long list. I did lots of research and it was really fun to try to come up with titles and, you know, look up for things that was eligible. And I tried to dig as well for things that were potentially a little bit more kind of off the beaten path. And yeah, that was really fun, and I guess this is my most watched video this year. In number 14, we have the most beautiful book that you've bought or received this year so far. And I don't know that I've bought a lot of books, or, you know, compared to what I usually do. But I really like the cover for The Sunlight Pilgrims by Jenny Fagan, and I look forward to actually digging into that hopefully later this year. And finally, the 15th and last question on this list is, what are the books that you need to read, you know, by the end of the year? And there were a lot, but as I said at the beginning of the video, I want to be kind to myself. So I don't want to overdo it with a list and just go a bit too far. I want to go month by month and see how I feel. Like I'm doing Jane Austen July this month. I would like to tackle my 6, I think I have technically 4.5 left, classics for my classics TBR. This includes Anna Karenina, which I will be reading in a buddy read with Nix from Nix Reads later this year. And also the books for my reading around the world. So it's 12 books from new to me countries. And I'm also not doing that well on that goal. And I would like to kind of continue on that. I'll hopefully be reading a little bit for the Booker Prize later this year. And, you know, I want to read some nonfiction for Nonfiction November. So yeah, there's some plans, but yeah, we'll see when we get there. So I don't want to go over the top making a list here. But yeah, so this was, you know, my mid-year freak out tag. I'm trying not to freak out. Trying to be zen about it because it's, you know, for fun and it's great and I love books. So yeah, it's more of a check-in and that's how I'm doing this so far this year. And how are you doing? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching and see you back. Bye.